Okay, so now let's read The Adventures of Paddington, The Wrong List. Dear Aunt Lucy, something most peculiar happened to me today. In fact, it seems like things always happen to me. I'm just that kind of bear. I was having afternoon tea with the Browns. Mr. Brown came in carrying a tray of freshly baked scones. Who wants jam and who wants cream? Both, please, shouted Jonathan and Judy. Mr. Brown began Paddington, who was always incredibly polite. Allow me to help you. Paddington whisked the tray away from Mr. Brown, sending the scone flying and the bowl of fluffy cream spinning through the air. Splat! It landed smack in Mr. Brown's face. Oh dear, let me get that, said Paddington, trying to lick the cream off. We mustn't waste it. Ah, cried Mr. Brown. No, it's all right. I'll get the clothes from the kitchen. Sorry, said Paddington, thinking what else he could do. Perhaps I could come and help you with the washing up. In the kitchen, Paddington knocked a teapot off the table by accident. Ah, I really don't need any help, Paddington, Mr. Brown said, diving to catch it before it smashed. Washing up is my chore. What's a chore? Everyone in the family has a chore list on the fridge, explained Mrs. Brown. Chores are jobs like doing the laundry or cleaning. How exciting! I can't wait to read my chore list, said Paddington. Don't be silly, Paddington. You don't need to do family chore, laughed Mr. Brown. The young bear looked sad. Oh, I thought I was part of the family, he sighed, wandering off. Mr. and Mrs. Brown hadn't meant to upset Paddington. They called an emergency family meeting and wrote a chore list just for him. It has one thing on it: make marmalade. But when Mr. Brown went to tell Paddington that he had his very own list, it fell off the fridge. That night, Paddington could barely sleep for excitement. A day doing chore from my very own list, he thought. It's a dream comes true. The next morning, he grabbed the first chore list he saw on the fridge. Clean the bicycle, he read aloud. Sounds very important. Paddington took Mr. Brown's bicycle apart, put it in the bath and give it a truly good clean with a toothbrush. Scrub, scrub, scrub. When the bicycle was spotless, Paddington put it back together. He couldn't remember where some bits went, but they were only small, so he couldn't imagine they were that important. Later, Mr. Brown came running out of the house late for work. He got on his bicycle and bing bang boing crash. Next on the list was polish the floorboard. Paddington thought there was rather a lot of floor. Surely that meant it needed rather a lot of polish. So he squeezed slick, oily polish all over the floor and began skating, sliding, slipping, and whoa, falling over. The next chore on the list simply said milk. Paddington wasn't sure what that meant, so he drank all the milk. Glug, glug, glug. Then he headed upstairs to do the final chore, wallpaper the spare room. That sounds easier, he thought, grabbing a wallpaper brush. As soon as the Browns came home, they stepped onto the highly polished floor and whoa! Slid into an enormous family pile. "Whose chore was it to polish the floor?" asked Mrs. Bird. Before anyone could answer, they heard a loud clatter and rushed upstairs to find Paddington wallpapered to the wall. "It was the last thing on my chore list," he mumbled. "Oh, you must have taken my list by mistake," said Mr. Brown. Paddington explained he just wanted to be part of the family. "You are always part of the family, Paddington," said Mrs. Brown. "You don't have to do chore to prove that." Mr. Brown helped Paddington down when Julie gasped, looked, and pointed at a drawing behind the peeling wallpaper. "You and Jonathan drew that years ago," said Mrs. Brown. "It's a picture of the whole family." "No, it isn't," said Mr. Brown, picking up a pencil. "There," Mr. Brown said, adding in a sketch of Paddington, "Now it's the whole family." The Browns thought the drawing was absolutely perfect and decided to never wallpaper the room again. It seemed there are an awful lot of chores in the world, Aunt Lucy, but being part of a family isn't one of them. Love from Paddington. That's the end.